Before there were borders, there was nature. Before history, there was Earth itself. Across Europe, ancient forces still shaped the land, carving mountains, feeding forests, and whispering stories of time. This is Europe, the land forged by nature. Garni Gorge, Armenia. Imagine stones make music. In Armenia's Garni Gorge, it almost does. Locals call it the Symphony of Stones, a surreal formation of perfectly vertical basalt columns that look like frozen organ pipes. Just below the ancient temple of Garni, a pre-Christian Greco-Roman structure from the 1st century AD, the gorge unfolds like a geological symphony composed by fire and time. These basalt formations were born millions of years ago, when cooling lava contracted and cracked into hexagonal pillars. What remains today is a cathedral of stone, rhythmic, ordered, yet entirely natural. Standing at the bottom of the gorge, surrounded by towering columns, you feel small but spellbound. The light shifts and the basalt glows in shades of silver and bronze, as if the earth itself were playing a silent melody. The Azat River runs through the canyon, cutting through Armenia's volcanic heart. The combination of history above, the temple, and geology below makes Garni one of the few places in the world where human and natural architecture mirror each other in perfect harmony. Locals say that when wind passes through the gorge, it hums softly, the stones singing their own ancient tune. Venta Rapid, Latvia. This is the widest waterfall in Europe. In the small town of Kuldiga in western Latvia, the Venta Rapid, or Venta's Rumba, stretches across the river Venta like a silver ribbon in motion. At first glance, it's modest, only about 2 meters high, but look again, it's nearly 250 meters wide, making it the widest natural waterfall in Europe. For centuries, Venta Rapid has been more than a natural wonder. It's been the heartbeat of Kuldiga. The cascade formed thousands of years ago when retreating glaciers left behind a layer of dolomite rock, and the river began to carve its way across it. The result is a low, wide curtain of water that changes shape with the seasons, roaring in spring floods, whispering in summer droughts, and freezing into delicate sculptures in winter. The Venta River served as a trade route to the Baltic Sea, carrying goods and ideas between east and west. Local engineers even tried to make the river navigable by building canals and modifying the flow. Venta Rapid had its own surprises. Each spring, thousands of fish, mostly vimbas and salmon, migrate upstream to spawn. When the water rises, they leap over the falls in shimmering arcs. Locals call this the flying fish season, a spectacle that has been celebrated for centuries. In old times, fishermen caught them midair with nets, a unique tradition found nowhere else in Europe. The 19th century brick bridge just downstream from the falls adds a touch of elegance. Once the longest bridge in Europe, perfectly aligned with the waterfall's flow. Beneath the water live dozens of aquatic species that depend on the seasonal rhythm of floods and migrations. The surrounding wetlands filter the river naturally, keeping its waters among the cleanest in Latvia. Pirin National Park, Bulgaria. In southwestern Bulgaria, the Pirin Mountains rise like a stone fortress, a world where nature has remained untamed for thousands of years. Spanning over 400 square kilometers, Pirin National Park is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, protected not only for its raw beauty but for its remarkable biodiversity. Its jagged peaks, glacial lakes, and deep valleys form one of the most dramatic alpine landscapes in the Balkans. The park's highest summit, Pirin, stands at 2,914 meters, second only to Mount Musala in Bulgaria, a granite giant known to glow silver under moonlight. The name Pirin itself is said to come from Pirin, the ancient Slavic god of thunder and mountains, and true to that myth, storms here roll in suddenly, echoing through the valleys like divine footsteps. Around 70 glacial lakes are scattered across the park, the remnants of the Ice Age. The most famous among them, the Popovo Lake, reflects the surrounding peaks like a perfect mirror. Forests of Bulgarian white pine, spruce, and fir cloak the lower slopes, including the park's most celebrated tree, Berezinsky pine. Estimated to be over 1,300 years old, it sprouted during the time of the First Bulgarian Empire. The higher you climb, the wilder Pirin becomes. The forests give way to alpine meadows and bare stone ridges, where ibex and chamois leap across cliffs as easily as shadows. Golden eagles and falcons soar overhead, while marmots whistle warnings from the rocks below. In winter, snow transforms the entire range into a white desert, hiding life beneath the silence. Pirin's trails connect not just valleys, but eras. Hikers today walk the same ridges that once echoed with legends of Pirin and whispered prayers from hidden monasteries. Every path feels timeless. Every rock seems to remember. Lake Ohrid, North Macedonia, and eastern Albania. Can a lake be older than civilization itself? Lake Ohrid, straddling the border between North Macedonia and Albania, is one of the oldest and deepest lakes in Europe, around 1.36 million years old. Its age makes it a living museum of evolution. Over 200 species here exist nowhere else on Earth. Tiny freshwater snails, ancient trout, and rare plants have survived ice ages and climate shifts, all within this single body of water. Scientists call it a biological time capsule. But Lake Ohrid is not only about nature, it's also a cradle of culture. The city of Ohrid, on the Macedonian side, was once known as the Jerusalem of the Balkans, home to 365 churches, one for each day of the year. The lake's calm surface has reflected Byzantine domes, Ottoman minarets, and centuries of pilgrims. On the Albanian shore, the town of Pogradec and the surrounding dryland springs feed the same waters. The lake's clarity comes from underground springs that filter through limestone, giving it an otherworldly blue-green hue. When the sun sets over Ohrid, the lake glows like glass, ancient, patient, alive. UNESCO protects both the lake and its surrounding cultural sites, recognizing them as a rare union of nature and human spirit. Đavolja Varash or Devil's Town, Serbia. In southern Serbia, near the village of Drei, a haunting landscape rises. Đavolja Varash, a valley of strange stone towers shaped by centuries of rain, wind, and time. Over 200 slender rock pillars, some as tall as 15 meters, stand like silent sentinels on the slopes of Mount Radin. Each one is capped with a chunk of darker rock that protects it from erosion, giving them an eerie, almost human shape. From afar, it looks like a gathering of ghostly figures frozen mid-motion. Geologists call them earth pyramids, formed as soft soil was washed away beneath harder stone. But local legend tells a darker tale, that these were once wedding guests turned to stone by the devil himself, angry that brother and sister were about to marry, unaware of their kinship. Today, Đavolja Varash is one of Serbia's most unusual natural monuments, protected since 1959 and even nominated for the new 7 Wonders of Nature. Berezinsky Biosphere Reserve, Belarus. In the heart of Belarus lies one of Europe's last great wildernesses, the Berezinsky Biosphere Reserve. If you want to see what much of Europe looked like 10,000 years ago, this is where you come. Spanning over 85,000 hectares, Berezinsky is a vast mosaic of forests, rivers, bogs, and lakes, largely untouched by human hands. It's one of the few places where Europe's Big Five, elk, bison, bear, wolf, and lynx, still roam freely together. The reserve was established in 1925, making it one of the oldest in Europe. It became part of UNESCO's World Network of Biosphere Reserves in 1979, not just for its biodiversity, but for its scientific importance. The Berezina River, winding through ancient wetlands, serves as a migration corridor for birds traveling between the Baltic and Black Seas. In spring, thousands of cranes and ducks fill the skies, turning the air into a moving canvas of wings. The bogs here are not wastelands but living archives, layers of peat preserving centuries of environmental history. Scientists extract cores to study how the climate has changed over millennia. Walking through Berezinsky feels like entering a slower rhythm of the earth, a reminder that wilderness still has a place in modern Europe, quietly protecting the secrets of its past. Turda Gorge, Romania. When water sculpts rock for 1,000,000 years, you get Turda Gorge, a masterpiece of limestone carved by the steady patience of time. Hidden in the heart of Transylvania, this 2.9-kilometer canyon slices through the Apuseni Mountains. Its vertical cliffs rising up to 200 meters high. It's one of Romania's most dramatic natural formations, a wild, echoing corridor of stone, wind, and legend. The gorge was formed by the Hostate River, which slowly cut its way through ancient Jurassic limestone. Caves open like secret doors in the cliffs, more than 60 of them, once home to early humans. Archaeologists found Neolithic tools and animal bones here. Nature thrives between the walls. Rare orchids, eagles, and bats coexist in this narrow valley. The microclimate creates a world of contrasts. Cool shadows below, blazing sun above. It's paradise for hikers, rock climbers to walk through time. Legends say a Dacian treasure was hidden somewhere within these cliffs, a secret never found. But the real treasure lies in the silence between the stones, where you can still hear the whisper of the river that carved it all. Drei, Schwestern, Liechtenstein. In the tiny alpine kingdom of Liechtenstein, 3 jagged peaks dominate the skyline, the Drei Schwestern, or Three Sisters. Rising along the border between Liechtenstein and Austria, these limestone summits are more than just mountains. They are symbols of the country's rugged spirit. Each peak reaches around 2,000 meters, their sharp profiles cutting into the sky like a crown. From afar, they look like 3 figures standing side by side, hence the name. Local legend tells of 3 sisters turned to stone for breaking a sacred vow, their silhouettes forever guarding the Rhine Valley below. Geologically, peaks belong to the breathtaking range of the Alps, formed millions of years ago when ancient seabeds were lifted and folded by the collision of tectonic plates. Today, the mountains reveal layers of marine fossils, remnants of a vanished ocean, now perched among the clouds. Hiking trails weave through alpine meadows, past grazing cattle and carpets of wildflowers. From the summit, you can see 4 countries at once: Liechtenstein, Austria, Switzerland, and Germany, a reminder of how small borders are in the face of mountains. Lake Synevyr, Ukraine. They call it the Eye of the Carpathians. Deep in the forests of western Ukraine, Lake Synevyr lies still and blue, surrounded by fir trees that seem to guard it in silence. At 989 meters above sea level, it's the largest natural lake in the Ukrainian Carpathians, formed thousands of years ago by a massive landslide that blocked a mountain stream. Its calm waters reflect the sky so clearly that it's hard to tell where earth ends and heaven begins. A legend gives the lake its soul. Synevyr was named after a nobleman's daughter, Sin, who fell in love with a shepherd named Vera. When her father forbade the match, he had Vera killed, and from the girl's tears, the lake was born. That's why locals say the lake's small island in the center is her pupil, and the water her eternal gaze. Beyond the legend, Synevyr is a haven of biodiversity. It's home to trout, lynx, and brown bears, all protected within Synevyr National Park. In the early morning mist, the lake looks almost supernatural, a mirror to another world. Nuuksio National Park, Finland. A short bus ride from Helsinki lies a vast wilderness where flying squirrels soar between treetops and ancient cliffs overlook quiet forest lakes. Welcome to Nuuksio National Park, a green sanctuary in southern Finland that feels worlds away from urban life. Established in 1994, Nuuksio protects part of Finland's rare southern boreal forest, an ecosystem under pressure from urban development. Here, you'll find a mosaic of lakes, bogs, gorges, and spruce-covered hills, ideal habitats for endangered species like the Siberian flying squirrel, which has become something of a mascot for the park. Archaeological evidence indicates human activity in Nuuksio dating back to the Stone Age, with ancient hearths and tools discovered in the area. In fact, the very name Nuuksio comes from a Sami word nuks, meaning a hill or a high place. The park is also home to the Finnish Nature Center Haltia, which showcases the biodiversity of all Finland's national parks under one roof. With its proximity to the capital, Nuuksio plays an important role in environmental education, offering school programs and interpretive trails that teach about geology, wildlife, and conservation. Pembrokeshire Coast National Park, Wales. This is the only coastal national park in Britain. Stretching across 600 square kilometers of cliffs, beaches, islands, and estuaries, the Pembrokeshire Coast National Park is a place where land, sea, and history collide in spectacular fashion. The coastline itself is over 180 miles long, and walking its entire coastal path is like reading a living history book, one where every headland reveals Iron Age forts, every bay hides shipwreck stories, and every rock tells a tale millions of years old. The cliffs here are carved from ancient volcanic and sedimentary rocks, some dating back 400 million years, making them a geologist's dream. But it is also a haven for wildlife. On Skomer Island, just a short boat trip from the mainland, the air is filled with the chatter of seabirds. In summer, more than 30,000 puffins arrive to nest, waddling across the meadows with their bright beaks full of fish, while shearwaters return under the cover of darkness. Skomer is also home to seals and a carpet of wildflowers, creating one of the richest wildlife spectacles in the UK. Not far away, the southern cliffs of Pembrokeshire offer some of its most iconic landmarks. The Green Bridge of Wales is a vast natural limestone arch, formed by the relentless power of the sea eroding the cliffs over thousands of years. Standing beneath it, you can feel the scale of nature's patience, sculpting stone into art. Just along the same stretch of coast are the famous Stack Rocks, two towering sea pillars that serve as a bustling seabird colony. In spring and summer, their ledges are alive with guillemots and razorbills, their calls echoing across the cliffs in a chaotic symphony of life. Further north, near Aberystwyth, the landscape shifts into something almost surreal. Here lies the Blue Lagoon, a former slate quarry now filled with seawater, its depths glowing with an otherworldly turquoise hue. The lagoon has become a hotspot for adventurers, once hosting the Red Bull Cliff Diving World Series, where divers hurled themselves from dizzying heights into the shimmering water below. Aberystwyth itself, with its dark sand beach and remains of old quarry workers' cottages, whispers of Wales' industrial past while still offering a wild, untamed beauty. Altogether, Pembrokeshire Coast National Park is not simply a destination. It is a living tapestry of geology, wildlife, and human history. Postojna Cave, Slovenia. Have you ever taken a train underground? In Postojna Cave, you can. Stretching more than 24 kilometers, it is one of the world's longest karst cave systems and has been fascinating visitors for over 200 years. First explored in 1818 by local Lukáček, who accidentally discovered its vast chambers while preparing for a royal visit, Postojna quickly became a European sensation. In fact, it was one of the first caves in the world to be opened for organized tourism, and by the 19th century it already had underground lighting, first oil lamps, later electric lamps in 1884, which was astonishingly modern for its time. The cave is famous for its dramatic stalactites and stalagmites. A truly unique resident of Postojna is the proteus, or human fish, an endangered amphibian that can live for more than 100 years in complete darkness, and is often shown in the cave's research center. During World War II, Postojna Cave played an unusual role. Occupying German forces stored fuel barrels in its chambers, which were later destroyed in a daring partisan sabotage operation. Today, millions of visitors come not just for the beauty but also to learn about karst processes, biodiversity, and history. Postojna Cave is a living laboratory of geology and biology, and a rare place where nature, science, and human ingenuity intertwine beneath the earth. Pico Mountain, Portugal. This mountaintop is the highest point in Portugal. Rising 2,351 meters above sea level, Pico Mountain dominates Pico Island in the Azores and is the tallest peak in the entire mid-Atlantic ridge. This stratovolcano, last erupting in 1720, is part of a chain of volcanic islands formed by tectonic activity deep beneath the ocean floor. The climb to Pico's summit is both physically demanding and incredibly rewarding. Along the trail, hikers ascend through layers of ancient lava flows, volcanic caves, and alien-like rock formations before reaching the final crater, Piquinho, which still emits faint volcanic gases. The mountain plays a central role in Azorean culture and identity, visible from neighboring islands and often wreathed in clouds. But Pico is also tied to centuries of human effort. Its lower slopes are lined with UNESCO-listed lava rock vineyards, the Paisagem de Cultura de Vinha de Ilha do Pico, where grapes grow in dark basalt-walled plots that protect them from wind and salt. These vineyards produce a unique fortified wine known for its mineral character. Beneath the surface, lava tubes like Gruta das Torres, the longest in Portugal, offer a subterranean look at the island's volcanic anatomy. Climbing Pico isn't just a hike. It's a vertical journey through geology, agriculture, and cultural endurance in one of Portugal's most awe-inspiring natural landmarks. Killarney National Park, Ireland. What happens when mountains, lakes, and ancient woodlands collide in a single landscape? You get Killarney National Park, Ireland's very first national park. Founded in 1932, spread over 26,000 acres, this park is a microcosm of Ireland's natural heritage. From the towering MacGillycuddy's reeks to the sparkling lakes of Killarney, Loch Lean, Macross Lake, and Upper Lake. Its oak and yew woodlands are among the last remaining ancient forests in Ireland, home to mosses, lichens, and rare plants that thrive in its damp climate. Red deer, Ireland's only native deer species, roam freely here, descendants of herds that have lived in these mountains for thousands of years. The park also played a pivotal role in Irish conservation, helping reintroduce the white-tailed sea eagle in recent decades after it had vanished from the skies. Human history is woven into this landscape too. Ross Castle stands guard on Loch Lean, while Macross House tells of Victorian grandeur. Hortobágy National Park, Hungary. This is the largest natural grassland in Central Europe. Welcome to Hortobágy National Park, a vast and windswept steppe, or puszta, that stretches across eastern Hungary. Declared Hungary's first national park in 1973 and a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1999, Hortobágy is much more than just flat land. It's a cultural landscape shaped over millennia by humans and nature working in harmony. Traditionally home to herders and mounted cowboys called Csíkos, the park preserves age-old pastoral customs and ancient animal breeds like the long-horned Hungarian gray cattle, Raka sheep, and curly-haired Mangalica pigs. The iconic nine-arch bridge built in the 1830s was once a crucial crossing point on the old salt route. Over 340 bird species have been recorded here, with thousands of cranes gathering in the autumn during their migration. The flat horizon, endless skies, mirages, and traditional shepherd huts offer a glimpse into a uniquely Hungarian wilderness. Benya thermal baths, Albania. Imagine soaking in a warm, sulfur-rich pool under the shadow of a stone Ottoman bridge. At the Benya thermal baths, you can experience one of the most relaxing and picturesque experiences in Albania. Located near the town of Permit, at the foot of the Namirka Mountains, these naturally warm springs bubble out of the earth at temperatures around 28 to 32 degrees Celsius. Rich in sulfur and other minerals said to relieve skin conditions, arthritis, and respiratory issues. The baths are divided into a series of shallow pools along the Langarica River, each with crystal-clear water nestled between rocky cliffs. Towering above them is the Kadiu Bridge, an elegant stone arch built during the Ottoman era in the 18th century, adding a historic charm to the already surreal landscape. Just upstream lies Langarica Canyon, a narrow gorge ideal for hiking and river trekking. The Benya baths were once frequented by local villagers and shepherds, but in recent years they've gained fame among wellness seekers and eco-travelers. Eye of the Earth, Croatia. Located near the village of Cetina in the Dalmatian hinterland, also known as the Izvor Cetina, is one of the most surreal karst springs in Europe. This natural wonder marks the origin of the Cetina River, which flows more than 100 kilometers to the Adriatic Sea. It's a deep, dark blue karst spring that emerges from the foothills of the Dinara mountain range. The water is incredibly clear and cold, as it's groundwater rising from deep within the earth. When viewed from above, especially with a drone, the spring truly resembles a giant, mesmerizing blue and green eye, with the darkest part of the spring forming the pupil giving is its name, Eye of the Earth. With its nearly vertical walls and astonishing clarity, the water hole resembles a deep sapphire gemstone set in the limestone landscape. While it looks like a small pool, divers have explored it to depths exceeding 155 meters, though its true bottom remains mystery. This makes it one of the deepest explored freshwater springs in the world. This is a vital source of drinking water for the local population. Because of this, swimming in the main spring area is generally discouraged and often prohibited, as it can contaminate the water. The water temperature is also incredibly cold, typically between 4 and 8 degrees Celsius, 39 to 46 degrees Fahrenheit, making it more of an ice bath experience than a leisurely swim. Historically, The river played a key role in regional development and settlement, serving as a source of fresh water, hydroelectric power, and natural defense. Surrounding the spring are centuries-old Orthodox churches and rustic stone villages, offering a picturesque backdrop to this geological marvel. Cave of Papafragas, Greece. In ancient times, these caves were used as natural harbors and hideouts by pirates who sailed the Mediterranean. Located on the northern coast of Milos, this series of sea caves is carved into the island's dramatic white cliffs and offers a glimpse into both natural beauty and historical intrigue. The caves were formed by volcanic activity, which has shaped the island's rugged coastline over millennia, creating a labyrinth of narrow tunnels and sea pools. The entrance to the main cave is a narrow passage that leads into a stunning turquoise pool, surrounded by steep rock walls that create a sense of seclusion and mystery. The nearby settlement of Philikopi, one of the most important prehistoric sites in the Aegean, indicates that the area around Papafragas has been inhabited since the Bronze Age. Today, you can explore the caves by swimming or kayaking through the narrow channels, discovering hidden grottos and secluded beaches along the way. The Cave of Papafragas offers a unique combination of natural beauty, historical significance, and adventure, making it a must-see destination for anyone exploring the island of Milos. Slovak Paradise National Park, Slovakia. Imagine climbing ladders beside waterfalls, squeeze through canyons, and balance on wooden footbridges above rushing streams. That's the daily adventure in Slovak Paradise National Park, a 1978 protected area in eastern Slovakia that truly lives up to its heavenly name. Covering more than 300 square kilometers, the park is a labyrinth of gorges, ravines, caves, and plateaus. The park's unique terrain was shaped over millions of years by the erosive force of the Horned River and its tributaries, carving deep canyons into the limestone bedrock. Human history here is just as fascinating. In some of the caves, archaeologists found tools from the Paleolithic period, proving that humans sought shelter in this paradise tens of thousands of years ago. The park is home to over 1,000 species of plants and hundreds of animal species, including the elusive lynx and the golden eagle. Trails like Prelim Hornardu and Veliki Sokol challenge visitors with steel ladders, chains, and platforms anchored into the rock, making the hikes part sport, part exploration. It's also a UNESCO candidate site due to its rare karst formations and biodiversity. Prometheus Cave, Georgia. Did you know that Georgia is home to one of the largest and most spectacular cave systems in Europe? Hidden beneath the lush hills of Imereti lies the Prometheus Cave, also known as Kumistavi Cave, a subterranean wonderland carved by water and time over millions of years. Discovered in 1984 near the town of Skaltubo, this vast network of chambers stretches for more than 11 kilometers, though only a fraction is open to visitors. Inside, gigantic stalactites hang from the ceiling like chandeliers, while stalagmites rise like frozen pillars from the floor. The play of light and shadow turns each chamber into a cathedral of color. The cave's name is inspired by the legend of Prometheus, who, according to Greek mythology, was chained to the Caucasus Mountains for giving fire to mankind. Local tradition claims that his punishment took place near here, adding a mythical dimension to the already mysterious landscape. Underground rivers flow through the cave, and you can even take a boat ride through the illuminated waters, gliding silently beneath glittering limestone formations. It is a place where time itself seems to stand still, where the Earth's inner beauty reveals itself in crystal and stone. Arlech Glacier, Switzerland. Did you know that the Arlech Glacier is the largest glacier in the Alps, stretching over 23 kilometers? This massive river of ice is part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site Jungfrau Arlech, and it serves as a vital natural laboratory for scientists studying the effects of climate change. The glacier, which holds about 27 billion tons of ice, flows slowly from the Jungfrau region down to the Rhone Valley. Historically, the Arlech Glacier has captivated explorers and scientists alike. In the 19th century, it was one of the first glaciers to be studied systematically, marking the beginning of modern glaciology. Today, you can take cable cars up to viewpoints to enjoy the enchanting views of the glacier's seemingly endless ice flow, which has been retreating significantly in recent decades due to global warming. The Arlech Glacier isn't just a natural wonder. It's a symbol of the fragile balance in our environment, where beauty and vulnerability coexist. Kebnekaise, Sweden. This is the mountain to climb if you want to stand top of the Sweden. Southern Peak currently reaches about 2,096 meters above sea level, though its exact height changes yearly because it's capped by a glacier. Located deep in Swedish Lapland, Kebnekaise is part of the Scandinavian mountains and presents a challenging but rewarding ascent through rugged terrain, glaciers, and breathtaking views. The mountain has long attracted mountaineers, scientists, and adventurers eager to explore Sweden's Arctic wilderness. Historically, Kebnekaise has cultural significance to the Sami people, whose traditional reindeer herding routes traverse the region. Recent climate studies show its glacier has been shrinking due to global warming, turning the mountain into a natural barometer of climate change impacts in the north. Besides its environmental importance, Kebnekaise is the starting point for incredible multi-day hikes like the Kungsleden Trail, and offers a rare chance to experience Sweden's alpine ecosystem, including mountain birch forests, Arctic foxes, and rare alpine flowers. Blue Lagoon, Malta. Located on the tiny island of Camino between Gozo and Malta, is famous for its breathtaking turquoise waters. Though technically part of Comino, the Blue Lagoon is easily accessible from Gozo and is one of the most popular spots for visitors to the Maltese Islands. This sheltered bay is surrounded by white sand and rugged cliffs, creating a striking contrast against the vivid blue sea. The shallow, calm waters make it perfect for swimming, snorkeling, and simply relaxing. The lagoon is rich in marine life, with vibrant schools of fish visible just beneath the surface, making it a paradise for underwater explorers. Historically, Comino and its surrounding waters served as a haven for pirates and smugglers, adding a touch of intrigue to this natural wonder. The Blue Lagoon offers an unforgettable experience of Malta's pristine coastal beauty. Hoha Weluwe National Park, Netherlands. When you think of the Netherlands, you imagine canals and cities. But deep in the center of the country lies a very different world, the Hoha Weluwe National Park, where shifting sands, pine forests, and heathlands meet in a rare dance of ecosystems. Covering 55 square kilometers, it's the largest national park in the Netherlands, a mix of wild nature and human creativity. The landscape is a patchwork. Rolling dunes formed by ancient winds, birch and oak forests, and purple heather plains that bloom in late summer like a living carpet. Red deer, mouflon sheep, wild boar, and countless birds thrives here. But what makes the park extraordinary is how art and nature coexist. Visitors explore on free white bicycles that glide silently along forest trails. You can move from a windswept dune to a Van Gogh masterpiece in the same afternoon. And at sunset, the sands glow gold, the pines darken, and the wind hums softly across the heath. Moravian Karst, Czech Republic. Imagine a sinkhole so deep that standing at its edge feels like looking into another world. The Machoha Abyss in the Moravian Karst is 138 meters deep, making it the largest of its kind in Central Europe. Legend says it got its name Stepmother's Abyss, from a tragic tale in which a cruel stepmother pushed her stepson into the chasm, only for him to survive by clinging to roots. The abyss is just one part of the vast Moravian Karst, a network of more than 1,100 caves and gorges stretching north of Brno. Among the most famous are the Pankevni Caves, where you can ride boats on an underground river before emerging beneath the towering cliffs of Machoha. The Slopsko-Sosuvske Caves reveal enormous halls decorated with stalactites, while Katharinska Cave has such perfect acoustics that concerts are sometimes held there. Caves are also archaeological treasures. Ancient human bones and Paleolithic artifacts have been found inside. Scientists continue to explore the karst, discovering new passages and studying how water has shaped limestone over millions of years. The Moravian Karst became a center of early European speleology in the 18th century, attracting explorers who risked their lives to map its underground labyrinths. Today, it's both a geological wonderland and a classroom where nature reveals the slow, powerful work of water-carving stone. Nature never stops telling stories, and neither do we. Hit like, subscribe, and join us for the next adventure. Until then, happy travels.